Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Welcome to John Gunning Presents Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
This is Flerick.
This is Mac, and that was just a lovely introduction. Thank you so much.
And a true introduction.
Yeah, he's our sponsor. He pays us money to do this. So, yeah, John Gunning Presents from the John Gunning collection.
This is going to be our Nagoya Basho preview. We are recording this on Tuesday, June 29th, so we are still 6 days out before the start of the Basho. Plenty of time for Hakuho to pull out and ruin everything we're going to say in the next 10 to 15 minutes about it.
Ugh.
Yep, as is tradition.
Yep.
It's been a while, actually. You know, we always have like last minute pullouts, but it's been a little while since we even expected Hakuho to be like, you know, participating and competing, and it's nostalgic, you know?
Yeah.
Well, back in March, we did have him for 2 days. So we'll see if our conversation has changed any from the Haru preview. My guess is no.
Probably not.
But we're going to do it anyways, because that's what they pay us to do. We also have Mac and Jake are back up from Austin, Texas. Those two went down to see the U.S. Sumo Nationals. They talked with quite a few people down there, and so probably not during the Basho. Our attention is going to be focused on covering the tournament, but sometime after the Basho, they're going to release some interviews that they did with some people that they met down in Austin. But if you want to get a little fix, you can check out Sumo Kaboom's YouTube channel, as they uploaded a video today that features them interviewing the women's heavyweight and open weight champion Eros Armstrong and Grand Sumo Breakdown's, John Gunning Presents Grand Sumo Breakdown's own Mac.
Every single time we mention ourselves from now on, right?
It has to be done.
But
Make
yeah,
it so.
Sumo Kaboom, they were very on top of their media game while they were down there, and they're hacks, so they got their editing done in a timely manner, and we're able to release some stuff already. But we've got our own stuff coming too.
Also appears Mac was on top of his drinking game as well. So
I was, yes.
Yeah.
Everything at Gizzard's Bar at Texas Sake, I had one of everything on the menu,
which is too many.
Yeah, well, no,
they had a big menu.
I was fine. I tapered off, but no, it was absolutely delicious. I need some more Texas Sake in my life.
all right. And so speaking of John Gunning, he donates to us on Patreon, and as people donate to us on Patreon, they earn the right for just $1 a month to get a compliment from the Grand Sumo Breakdown crew, or you could sign up for $3 a month, and then you will legally bind us to talk about a segment of your choice on the podcast. So let's go ahead and knock out.
Maybe soften that promise a tiny bit. Just
legally
tiny
bind
bit.
by force of
By blood
jail
pact,
time, at least 5 years minimum if we don't talk about it. All right, so let's get some compliments for our patrons. And first up, I would just like to say that we want to change the name of this podcast to John Gunning Presents Grand Dick Flair Breakdown.
What?
That's how much we appreciate Dick Flair.
Also, Heather, you are refreshing like a cool sip of Chikara Mizu.
Ooh. John Schaff, your amazing body and beautiful face deserve to be on a trashy romance novel cover.
And Radish Cat, your determination would put a Sekitori to shame.
And Devin Peterson, you are smarter than Jake, funnier than Mac, prettier than Flerick, and a better bus driver than Ryan.
Devin's my rival, Devin's my rival, Devin's my rival.
I love that the defining characteristic for me is that I'm smarter than you guys. In that particular compliment. That really warms my smart heart.
Uh-huh.
Well, I couldn't give myself all of them, so I had to dole them out to the second place winners.
Oh, thanks.
Of course.
All right. So before we dive into the Nagoya Basho and what we think is going to happen, as always, we have our field correspondent B giving us a recap of the Natsu Basho.
I don't have it pulled up if you were waiting on me. I literally didn't think about it until we were just talking about it.
Like,
now.
wait,
do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah, do
let's do that.
it.
So we'll talk so that we don't have to do a whole lot of editing on the backside of this. We'll just go on until Jake has it pulled up, and then he can interrupt me. So this Nagoya Basho is actually going to be the first Basho held outside of Tokyo.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Let's hear what B has to say.
Hey guys, B here with your May Day pay-per-view review. So you remember what B pay-per-views in WWE used to just be a couple interesting matches building towards the showstoppers like Mania or the Rumble? Because that's absolutely what this was, and it felt like everything was pointing forward. Look, I have no idea why the bookers picked Teruno Fuji as their headliner, but honestly, his build has been so perfect, I don't even care anymore. Sure, he's got knees that at any moment could put him in the alumni section of the website, but you don't build a guy up like that if you don't think there's a chance he's going to put butts in seats. The choice to have the playoff trade-off with Takakeisho mirroring the other one is the type of otherworldly booking that can only come from a worked sport. And now we've got Kaiju on his rope run tourney at Hakuho's last one. Like, this booking writes itself. The best wrestler of all time about to try to put down the man who will take his place. Like, when Teru wins, will they have Hakuho lift his arm at the ramp? Will we have him and the Ozeki Corps come out for a curtain call? Or is Teru going to be two sweeting people during his victory parade? Is Hakuho going to finish day 15 and leave his mawashi in the ring? Oh, wait, no, not that. Sorry. There was a lot of good matches this pay-per-view, but all signs point to a showstopper next tourney. Oh, and apparently I've got a friend here to watch it with too. At Awesome Yamuka on Twitter wants to meet up at a hostess club for drinks. I'll see you guys for SummerSlam.
Oh, B.
No, B, no.
No, B.
We don't want to fire you.
Yeah. He left this message several days ago, and we don't bother checking it very often. So he's already caused his own scandal, I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to let you go, B.
As official members of JSA West, we have to comply by the same COVID protocols, and the Bonsuke's been released, so you got to stay inside. If he even has an inside to go to, I don't know. He might still be out on the streets.
The John Gunning presents GSB Bonsuke. It's back down to 4 members.
Oh God, that's not going to get old, is it? I hope
Never.
not.
I'm sure by the 20th time at the end of this podcast, yes, it will be. All right. Let's talk about this Nagoya Basho. This is going to be the first Basho held outside of Tokyo in over a year, as obviously we have had the COVID pandemic just ruining everything for the past year and a half. But it's not moving to Nagoya because everything's all hunky-dory and good to go. It's moving because the Kokugikan is going to be used for the Olympics, which are being held in Tokyo at the end of July. And so they kind of had to, by default, move it out to Nagoya. The Olympics are also the reason why this Basho was pushed forward 1 week to start on the first Sunday of the month instead of the traditional second Sunday of the month. So if it felt like this little break between Basho was shorter, it's because it is.
I was going to comment on them. Like, traditionally, this doesn't happen. It's only because of the Olympics.
Yeah.
Which are extraordinarily popular with everyone inside and out of Japan.
Well, I suppose.
No, Mac, that is a joke. It's incredibly, the Olympics are incredibly unpopular. People don't actually want them to happen. But I think the gist is whoever decides to cancel, whether it's Japan or the Olympic Committee, like whoever decides to cancel is on the hook for a lot of money. Is that the?
That's my understanding too.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a bad situation all around, but it is what it is. So we move forward. All Rikishi and staff have had PCR tests, and they all came back negative. So it does not sound like we will have any situation where a Rikishi or a stable is going to be held out of the Basho due to having COVID. And on top of that, all Rikishi, Oyakata, and basically everybody else have been given their first vaccine shot and are all in Nagoya. So it looks like we are on our way to getting all of our Rikishi completely vaccinated. And so then we won't really have to worry about positive tests in the future unless there's some extremely rare case. But you know what? The vaccines work, damn it. So if you haven't gotten yours, go get it. It's a good idea all around.
Seriously.
And we're just going to leave it at that for that. So this might be the first time we're talking about Hakuho isn't like the biggest story in the tournament, because we're going to get to it, but we've got a couple of Yokozuna hopefuls that might steal the show away from Hakuho. But all signs are pointing to Hakuho being back for the Nagoya Basho. We've heard this song and dance before. We'll believe it when we see it, but we're going to talk about it like it's happening. And actually, hot off the presses, I saw at Sumo Follower on Twitter translated an interview from Hakuho's orthopedist, and his orthopedist says that the Yokozuna will make it to day 1, but doesn't yet know if he can do all 15 days as he fights with big opponents. Hakuho has been training with Makuuchi opponents, Ishiura and Enho. I guess Enho technically Juryo, for the past week. So he has been doing training matches, and the knee is doing well, and fluids have stopped accumulating in it as of 2 weeks ago. So that's probably a good sign.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what the minimum amount of time you want to wait until fluids have not been accumulating in your knee to do stuff, but 2 weeks sounds good.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah, there was a documentary that came out this last year that had a crazy scene of where it was his last Basho that he won. I think actually last Nagoya. It might be around that time.
Last Haru.
Last Haru. Thank you. Where like they were just literally draining out like a vial of fluid from his knee while he won that. So it's
no.
I will say like even though it's good that it stopped. It's very good, but he definitely can win the Yusho even if it's there. So
let's see how many matches with big opponents it takes for it to start accumulating in the knee again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, can you imagine him like lifting the Emperor's Cup and his knee is like literally springing a leak and just like
no.
I can, because that's the kind of competitor Hakuho is. So this is a self-imposed make or break and outwardly imposed make or break Basho for Hakuho, which means if he enters and does not finish the Basho with at least 10 plus wins and does not pull out at any time, if he doesn't do all those things, then Hakuho's basically going to be forced to retire, which we know Hakuho doesn't want to do, because making it to the Olympics and performing in some sort of opening or closing ceremony for the Olympics has been a goal of his for a while. So it is a very big Basho for Hakuho, and he does have to think very strongly on if he wants to enter or not, because if he can't make it all the way through, that's it for Hakuho. I don't know what they're going to do if he pulls out again, because we've kind of seen this situation before. Back in January, both him and Kakuryu, they're like, yeah, you guys got to do good this Basho or else you have to retire. And then they're like, we'll see you in March. And then they were just like, yeah, okay, no, that sounds good. Whatever you guys want. I mean, that's fine. Flerick, do you think we might see a similar situation this time around if Hakuho's like, the knee's not quite there yet, I'll see you in Aki? Do you think that's going to fly?
I don't know. I feel like he's kind of put his Yokozuna award behind this, that this is going to be the Basho. So I get the impression that he's going to try his best to get there, even though it sounds like his orthopedic surgeons is kind of like, yeah, he can make it to the first day. Should he? No, not at all. I'm just adding that commentary, but I think he's going to at least give it a shot. And if it doesn't work out, he's going to probably just call it quits and leave his mawashi on the dohyo, as B said.
we could only hope.
We can
lead everybody in a clap as he leaves the dohyo, sends mawashi.
Yeah, he'll lose the match. He'll lose the match because it's like a disqualification. But
oh, that's right.
Oh, you're thinking he's going to drop mawashi before the match starts?
Middle of the match. Middle.
Middle of the match.
Yep. He's gonna like do some crazy throw, and as soon as like the opponent touches down, like his mawashi just falls all the way down.
He's going to be like, my work here is done. It's time to drop trow and get the hell out.
Yeah, just straight on down.
Oh God, if only. All right. So Jake, with all of that said, what are your expectations for Hakuho, who has only fought in 14 matches since March of last year? He hasn't even completed a full basho in the past 7 basho.
Although he is, he's 2 for 2 in basho that he's completed recently, or the last 2 he's completed, he's gotten yushos for, which is completely irrelevant because he's, that's going back like 2 years. So I don't know, man. I think that it's going to be one of those. There are so many of these on his record, just scanning through Sumo DB, but like he's going to go like 6-0, somewhere between like 6-0 and 9-0. And then like one bad match, and then he's going to be toast. I don't know. That's kind of the thing that the pessimist in me says is, one of the more likely options. I'd certainly like him to do well, but I just don't buy it, I guess. I think that it's more likely he's going to look dominant at the beginning, as he's going to look like Hakuho. We're all going to be like, Hakuho's back. And then, the inevitable, I think, is likely to happen again.
His knee will spring a leak, and
the mawashi goes down, and everyone's like, "Oh, there goes the goat."
Yeah, there goes the goat. You don't think he's gonna like maybe tough it out, knowing that this is his last basho?
I was looking at toughing it out. If he can't, what did he say? 10 plus wins, I think it was. The last time he got 10 wins or fewer was 2016. The time before that was 2012. And the time before that was 2007.
What was his record in 2016?
These are all 10 and 5s because he hasn't gotten less than 10 wins since he was in Ozeki. And I'm not sure I was even in high school at that point when that one happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't imagine Hakuho getting like a 9-6 and as a Yokozuna. Okay.
Yeah. He got an 8-7.
I can't even imagine Hakuho getting a 10-5 as Yokozuna. So
yeah. So I think there's a very low chance that he completes the basho with 10 wins or fewer. I think it's either going to be Hakuho's back and he just manages to avoid the inevitable. I don't think there's a great chance of that, of him making it through and getting like, 12, 13 wins or something like that. I do think it's more likely he's going to just burn through some of the, the Joy wrestlers, and then it's going to happen, Maybe not as dramatic as Kakuyu whiffing the Charlie Brown kick, but something along those lines.
See, I'm thinking that with Hakuho knowing like the Olympics are on the line and that it's just probably just get through this one and then no matter what, just call it quits. I'm thinking his orthopedist is going to have to remove his leg to keep him from stepping on the dohyo for all 15 days.
I don't think that would stop him, though.
No, he will find a way.
If he's mentally in it,
If you're missing a leg, can like one of your hands count as your other foot for not disqualifying you in the match?
Sure. We'll have to check the rules. Is it all?
We'll have to go back and check the rules.
Or is it like all of your limbs?
All right, so Mac, it is still Hakuho. Is he the favorite to win the basho if he enters?
If you would have asked that question a year ago, I'd have said unequivocally yes. However, given the kaiju phenom that is Teruno Fuji and the hungry hamster that is Takakeisho, I cannot wholeheartedly say that this is Hakuho's basho to lose. He very well could lose in this case, and I would say that the favored ones, all eyes are on Teruno Fuji and Takakeisho at this point. Of course, we want Hakuho to do well, but you can't deny that everybody's expecting big things from both Teruno Fuji and Takakeisho.
Is that general consensus on this panel? Do we all think that Teruno Fuji, Takakeisho, probably you would choose them before Hakuho when winning this U-show?
I'm on Team Hakuho. I don't know about you guys.
I think it's a pretty much a 3-way split. I'd say there's a third chance that Hakuho stays healthy and thus inevitably wins.
Zensho U-show.
Right. No. Yeah. It's no, I think that I think it is super split between the three. And I know that's like, kind of the coward's answer, but we'll talk about it more. I think that it's roughly equal in my head between the three of them.
All right. So let's talk about those other two contenders, Teruno Fuji and Takakage, and the spotlight is going to be firmly upon those two as they are both Yokozuna hopefuls. Definitely Teruno Fuji more than Takakage at this point, as after the Natsu Basho, we did get Issei Gahama Oyakata saying that 3 Yusho within a year, 2 consecutive if he comes up with the proper results, a Yokozuna promotion will be on the table for Teruno Fuji. So Fleric, is there anything that you need to see from Teruno Fuji beyond just winning the Yusho to believe that he deserves to be promoted to Yokozuna, keeping in mind that his past 2 Yusho that he've won were only 12-3 records?
Yeah. I don't think there's, like you say, beyond it. I don't think there's anything beyond it. If he just wins a Yusho, he should get the nod for the Yokozuna promotion.
What if it's an 11-4 Yusho, kind of like Aki?
He still beat all of his competitions. Like, that's bullshit. 11-4 still a fucking win. So
I was absolutely about to do a similar noise, Fleric. Yeah, I isn't Isagahama? That's his own coach, right?
That's his own coach.
It is. So I wonder if he's like just trying to like downplay it, to like be modest, be polite about it. Like come on, man. Of course he's gonna get that promotion, right? If it's
yeah.
No, he's got to do harder.
I guess, but to kind of answer the question of stuff like what I would be impressed to see, like, like just like, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense and just kind of goes along with the narrative. I would love for him to beat Hakuho. That would be the dream, right? Mm-hmm. Day 15, Teruno Fuji versus Hakuho. And like, he beats him at the end. It's kind of like handing off the Mawashi. Like, he actually gives him his Mawashi as
We're back to dropping Mawashi again.
So the final bout of day 15 will leave with 2 completely nude Rikishi.
Because Hakuho has taken his off and Teruno Fuji's too big for Hakuho's. So yes, they're both naked. And Sumo Kaboom goes insane.
Yes. Sumo Kaboom loses their minds.
I don't know that Sumo Kaboom is going to be able to record for like 2 or 3 weeks after that event. I don't know. For me, I mean, yeah, obviously winning the Yusho, that'll probably get him the Yokozuna promotion. I would love to see more than 12 wins for Teruno Fuji, just because I'm going to keep beating the drum until it happens. Tokushoryu is the last guy who got 14 or more wins in a Yusho over a year and a half ago.
I was about to say that.
Somebody needs to get 14 wins. It might as well be Teruno Fuji in securing his Yokozuna promotion. Or more than likely, like we said, Hakuho Zensho.
Naturally, yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then we also have Takakage. So the reason he is under somewhat consideration are because the rules regarding a Yokozuna promotion are typically either 2 straight Yusho, which we're kind of talking about for Teruno Fuji, or a Yusho and a Yusho equivalent. And so we have seen cases in the past where a playoff loss counts as a Yusho equivalent, like Kakuryu. He lost in a playoff, then won a Yusho, promoted to Yokozuna. Takakage is coming off of a playoff loss to Teruno Fuji in the Natsu Basho. So if he can come away with a Yusho in this tournament, he could be the one that is seeing the Yokozuna promotion.
Even Kisuno Sato got in with less than 2 straight Yusho. He got a 12-3 June Yusho, not even a playoff loss, just a June Yusho. Followed it up with a 14-1 Yusho, and that promoted him.
Yeah.
So yeah, the last 2 guys, Haruma Fuji just absolutely knocked the socks. I think he did like 2 15-0s or something. That one was like hilariously easy. But the last 2 that we've had were a lot more, I wouldn't say lenient, but like a little bit more spirit of the rules than letter of the law kind of thing.
Hakuho era exceptions.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Mac, if Takakage does win the Yusho, do you think he will be Yokozuna in the next tournament?
Given his past performances, because he's proven that he can beat Teruno Fuji. I mean, one of those matches that he had in the last tournament was a playoff win, and then he lost ultimately for the Yusho. So he can hang with Teruno Fuji. I think if he can do that again, of course, 14-1 final day, that assuming they can both beat Hakuho, again, big if, but assuming they can do that going into the final day, I say regardless, we've got 2 Yokozuna promotees. I mean, right there, that would be an equivalent. Of course, for Takakage to secure it, he'd have to win the playoff and go 14-1 with the Yusho. So I think it's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think my one concern is we did get a statement from Isekahama Oyakata saying, all right, if Teruno Fuji wins the U show, then yeah, we're going to be talking about a Yokozuna promotion for him. We'll get to it later. He had a statement on Takayasu about his Ozeki run and what they need to see from Takayasu in order to promote him to Yokozuna. There was not a similar statement for Takakeisho, which does concern me a little bit, that even if he gets the U show for one reason or another, they might not be considering him for a Yokozuna promotion. But then again, we've seen cases where like Shodai, who went 13-2, won a U show, kind of forced their hand at an Ozeki promotion when they might not have been looking for an Ozeki promotion for Shodai, so I didn't think to mention it. Maybe if Takakeisho gets like a 15-0, 14-1 U show, and it's like, all right, yeah, okay, fine. You could be Yokozuna. But I am a little concerned that they haven't brought it up.
Well, hey, it's Isegahama and everybody else. It's like, you know what? Just roll with it at this point. You don't know.
Yeah. And I'm just looking at Teruno Fuji and Takakeisho's matchups over the past year or so. In their past 6 matches, they have alternated wins and losses.
Because of course they have.
It is Teruno Fuji's turn to win next. So on day 14, we need a 13-1 Teruno Fuji going up against, or a 12-1 Teruno Fuji going up against a 13-0 Takakeisho. That way we can get them both to 13-1 going into the final day, where Teruno Fuji will face off against Hakuho, and Takakeisho has already defeated Hakuho.
There you go.
Yeah, so they would have to probably match up day 13 because day 14 and 15 would close with Hakuho against the Ozekis, right?
Right. Yeah, somewhere around there. But if we want our like 14-1 dream playoff scenario where we're both trying to get them both to Yokozuna promotion, we need to see Takakeisho coming into that match undefeated and Teruno Fuji beating him.
Yeah. So in our dream scenario here, we have both those guys at 14-0. Hakuho would be 12-2 at that point, facing somebody else or something like that. I don't know. Maybe with the U show on the line, they'd still probably put that match ahead of Hakuho's match, right?
I still think that you close the Basho with Hakuho versus Teruno Fuji. So yeah, I do think you're right that it'll probably be like a day 13 matchup between those two. So that,
Well, Hakuho does have Hakuho does also have Shodai to face as an Ozeki. So that, I don't know.
But Shodai's the lowest ranked one, so that's the one Hakuho should face first. So I'd imagine it might have to be day 12 where Hakuho faces Teruno Fuji or faces Shodai. Then Teruno Fuji and Takakeisho are both free to face each other on day 12. No, that'd be day 13 because day 14 he would face Takakeisho, day 15 Teruno Fuji. All right, we're diving way too deep into the weeds.
Yes, but hopefully it becomes an issue that they have to deal with, because that would also mean very high drama. So,
oh my god, if the top 3 people this tournament are Takakeisho, Teruno Fuji, Hakuho, and they're all in it on the final day, that would just chef's kiss.
Yes, indeed, chef's kiss.
All right, so but just how many Yokozuna will we have at the Akiba show, and who will they be? I want everybody to go on the record. So I'm going to say there will be 1 Yokozuna at Aki, and that is going to be your Kaiju Teruno Fuji. I think Hakuho is going to have a similar situation to what Jake said. I think he is going to start off like 8-0, go up against I don't know, like who's
Mitaki Yumi.
Yeah, we'll just say Mitaki Yumi. He gets his knee banged up, but he's not going to pull out of the tournament, because if he does, he's probably going to have to retire right after. He sticks it out, doesn't do good in the final week, but finishes with a 10-5 record. Just good enough for him to stick around long enough for the Olympics and then retire right before Aki happens
in August.
And then I think Teruno Fuji wins this tournament. So I've got 1 Yokozuna. Mac, what do you got?
I'm putting my money on 2, and I'm going to say 2 Yokozuna Teruno Fuji and Takakage. I really am. I want this.
Wow.
I want this to happen. So I'm gonna wish it into reality.
Yeah, there you go. Manifest it into reality, right?
Exactly.
All right. What do you got, Jake?
I'm gonna sadness hedge.
I'm going to take the sadness. I'm going to hedge my bets that everything is going to be crap. So either I'm right or I am pleasantly wrong. I think that it's very possible that I said before that I think Hakuho, Teruno Fuji, and Takakage all kind of like, are just as likely to win as each other. I'm going to say that they're all at about 25%. Because there's also the always Maegashira 17 Ichi Yamamoto or something like that.
There is. That
Honestly,
place on the Bonsuke.
I mean, Tokushoryu's down at M15. We know what he can do at that range.
But yeah, so I'm going to take the sadness hedge that somehow we get like a random winner or like, somebody who's not on a Yokozuna run and Hakuho retires because we don't deserve nice things and everything's going to be bad.
So 0.
I think it's very possible, and I'd say, yeah, fine. I'll put my put my money where my mouth is and bet the $0. We're all betting here that there will be 0.
So it's gonna be like the Mr. Burns disease of where like Hakuho, Teruno Fuji, and Takakage all get like, stuck in the door, so they can't get through the Yusho door, and then Ichi Yamamoto just kind of sneaks through and gets the Yusho with like 15 wins on day 15.
or something like how Tamawashi has a Yusho, like where it means nothing. It's just like an older guy that doesn't have like potential to like really necessarily be the top guy. Just something that just sucks.
Actually, Takayumi goes on a tear.
It's funny because when I heard Ryan bring that up, the first thing I thought was a negative too, and I was like, oh no, this is gonna be like Ura Yusho or something like that, isn't it?
Actually,
which would be amazing.
Kind of fun.
That would be kind of cool.
I actually would love that. It could be someone we love, like Tobizaru.
No, I hope that I'm wrong, but the pessimist in me is just like, yeah, it's very possible that all the things just go wrong.
Okay.
All right.
Well, yeah. Well, both of you. Well, Jake sucks.
Because he took what you wanted.
No. That was the thing in my head. I'm totally with Ryan 100% on this. Like, this is Hakuho's last time, and Teruno Fuji's just probably going to win it. Like, he's the favorite. And, like, he's going to get the nod to the Yusho. The Takakage is going to be, like, right on the heels. He's going to be hungry. And then, like, Teruno Fuji is going to, like, take a Basho off because he can now. And then Takakage is probably going to get a win or something.
So, Mac is going all heart. I'm going all head. Ryan and Fleric are kind of in the middle there with, a realistic yet hopeful. Yeah, I
would say ours is the more head than yours, Jake.
No, I think Jake is going off of recent precedent, and he is 100% using his head the best.
Yes.
I'm not.
He's
nothing
just
that I said was
his heart.
Yeah, I'm trying to protect my heart. So even when I'm right, I can come into next Basho going, I guessed correctly.
Yeah.
I love that enthusiasm. Like, yay.
If we've learned anything about sumo over like the past year and a half, 2 years, is like if you're expecting happiness coming into the tournament, you're just going into a bad time.
Make your own happiness. That's what I say.
We've been hurt before.
All right. So now I am curious. Jake brought up like it's probably just going to be some rando winning the tournament. What is worst case scenario Yusho winner for you guys? And so I'm going to start off. I'm going to say Dayamami, because he's not an old guy like Tokushoryu or like Takada Fuji, where we'd be like, oh yeah, hey, he finally got his Yusho. This guy who's been around forever. He's 28 years old, guy that just bounces between Juryo and Makuuchi. Nobody knows who he is. He's never gotten more than 9 wins as a Maegashira. Sorry, he's gotten 10 wins once. He's just like a nobody that we never mention on the podcast. He's never going to amount to anything, and he's also not old enough for us to be like, yay, good job, buddy. So I'm saying Dayamami's worst case scenario for me. Anybody else got a different one?
You're crazy. I think anyone on this Bonsuke, if they win, it's going to be great Basho. Oh, wait, there's Shodai.
God damn it.
Well, touche, Fleric, touche.
Mm-hmm. But no, usually my thought is anyone winning is a good time. but yeah, I guess I can't lie that there is a little bit more negative with that guy winning.
Well, echoing that, Fleric, honestly, this is something that I love about the support. I know it doesn't fit the narrative, but this is honestly something I love about sumos. Anyone can win. So we could have Tokushoryu take another Yusho. How awesome would that be? 2020, and he's got one in 2021. How cool is that? Or Ichi Yamamoto might be able to pull it off. Ishihara could do it.
There's storylines with all of those that we could talk about, but what do you talk about if Diamami wins?
Yeah, so Mac, now that you've brought the optimism back to the show, what about Chio Tairyu?
That's okay. My wife calls him off-brand Chiyomaru. It's all right.
But like, I totally, I'm with Ryan on this one. Like somebody that's like kind of in the middle of the road, like age-wise, not like Okinoumi or even Aoyama would be like a Tokushoryu thing where it's like, yay, he's been around, he's paid his dues, he finally got it. Chio Tairyu, like,
yeah,
maybe even Takara Fuji would kind of be like in the same boat. Like, there's just a handful of guys where it's like, this does nothing for me. Like, it doesn't advance anything.
Just imagine the Yusho portrait with his like great like sideburns that they'll add posthumously afterwards, because that is him and his best self.
Posthumously?
Oh God, no.
Maybe I said that there's add after the fact, because that is him in his best.
Okay.
Whatever.
So now, then I propose this.
And so they're going to put the sideburns on him in memoriam.
So what about Hoshoryu? What if Hoshoryu gets it?
That'd be flipping amazing.
Yeah,
he's a young guy on the rise.
He's a mid-rank. Like he's working his way up.
No. See, here's the thing. He is working his way up. He's a young guy with a lot of potential. Dude's only like 21, 22 years old. He's winning a Yusho now. What is he going to be doing for the rest of his career? How high is he going to go? How many Yusho is he going to win? Diamami wins. This guy's 28. We already know what he's going to do. Nothing. Just like Tokushoryu.
You're making all these assumptions.
You just I thought you said just like if someone's later on, you can say, "Hey, good job." That's not just like Tokushoryu.
Well, I meant like Tokushoryu isn't gonna like go, and he's like his Yusho's not gonna propel him to like further heights in the sport. Tokushoryu's Yusho didn't even propel him to the Sanyaku ranks.
He got into M1.
Not the Sanyaku ranks.
Fair, but still M1.
All right,
Zone of
like,
death.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I think we're kind of on the same page that like, yeah, it's always exciting, but there's definitely a batch of guys where it's like this is just kind of like this is the peak of the storyline, and the peak is still very low. You know, it's not something that can keep going.
Yeah. All right. I've done my like usual about 5 minutes of just bringing the podcast down into my zone of negativity. So let's leave the negative zone and let's move on to Shodai. Shodai. only positive things to say on this podcast about Shodai. So my first sentence that I have written down is Shodai has been less than impressive. As an Ozeki, he's gone Kadoban twice and then recovered twice. That sums up his 4 basho as an Ozeki. And when he came back to recover his Ozeki status in the Natsu basho, didn't look all that good. Homie's lucky that Asanoyama had to pull out. So Fleric, we kind of know Shodai's pattern here. Losing record, winning record, losing record, winning record. Just came off of a winning record. What are your expectations for Shodai in this tournament? Does he have more than a 50% chance of going Kadoban again?
Well, I think it might be like 51%. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. It's like he just came off of he's not Kadoban, so he doesn't get that little extra boost that he talked about.
Yeah.
But he seems to be healthy. I don't know. I say he gets a Kachikoshi. There's no reason he doesn't, in my opinion. Unless he gets like hurt.
He was healthy 2 basho ago when he got a Makekoshi. I don't know. I kind of think this could be another Makekoshi for Shodai. His form has just looked back to regular Shodai when Fleric hated him before he made his rise to Ozeki.
And the expected thing is for him to do badly. So, which is when he does the unexpected, which makes me hate him. That's why Yusho would be awful. But yeah, also doing badly, that will go against his expectations. So,
But yeah, I'm thinking he didn't look good when he had the Makekoshi in Haru. He didn't look good getting the Kachikoshi in Natsu, and he got to skip Asanoyama in that tournament. He's going to be able to miss Asanoyama again, which is probably a loss for Shodai. But you kind of replace Asanoyama with Hakuho on this one, which is probably a good chance at a loss for Shodai if Hakuho is still around, like we said, around day 12-ish. I don't know. I don't foresee good things for Mr. Shodai. I don't know. Anybody else?
We shall see how it goes.
Anybody else have any Shodai thoughts?
I guess I'm kind of optimistic there for once. But like,
wait, what?
I don't think I've seen enough like actual struggles from him to like really make me that pessimistic. I think he'll probably be fine. I don't know.
Wait and see.
Yeah. I mean, just we'll get there, but I do think there's a little bit of weakness in the joy that Shodai might be able to exploit. I think he'll probably get like 9.
Ooh. What weakness in the joy are you seeing? Sorry, Mac, what were you going to say first?
I was just about to echo that. It's similar to what happened in the last tournament with Asanoyama pulling out. It changed up his schedule enough that I think it allowed him to get those much-needed wins and avoid Kadoban. So I think in this time, given the current field, he might have something similar. I mean, again, I'm not dead set on Hakuho staying in this tournament. So that would just leave the same 2 that he's already fought, Teruno Fuji and Takakeisho. So I think that's going to give him enough leeway.
Real quick, I did look at Shodai's schedule. He did do poorly enough in the last Basho that he got to skip facing Teruno Fuji because Teruno Fuji needed to face the people that were in the Yusho race. So... Sorry, if Shodai does poorly enough again, he could just skip the higher ranked guys.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And for what we're predicting, it could happen.
That's a good point. If he does better, he might do worse.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think that there's so like we know Asanoyama's out. We think that Hakuho is, potentially a long shot to stay in, which means that Shodai is going to be facing guys all the way down to like Kodaweko, Chiyotairyu, Okinoumi. I think there's some good stuff for Shodai there. I'd be optimistic for him.
Okay. Yeah, when I said that, I was just kind of looking at the top 3 Maegashira ranks. I'm like, you know what? Minus Tobizaru, that's not bad. But yeah, once you get down to Maegashira 4, there is a little bit more of a soft spot. All right, let's move on to our final Ozeki. B referenced him earlier, the nickname that we needed to use more, but we didn't have a chance. Awesome Yamaka. I looked at the transcript of B's voicemail that we get through Google Voice, which translates or tries to translate like the Japanese words. Yeah, transcribes. There it is. That's a good word. And it once again said awesome Yamaka for...
he said awesome Yamaka, though.
That's a fair point. I just realized that. But we can't
actually show up as Asanoyama on the transcript.
It's like, no, he's saying it wrong.
But I don't think we can call him awesome Yamaka anymore. I think he's got to be more like disappointing Yamaka or won't live up to his potential Yamaka.
I thought you were going to say like he's actually not Jewish. So
well, we don't know.
Asanoyama, 99% probably not Jewish. Share that with your friends and wow them with your sumo knowledge.
Can't wait for the next sumo trivia night.
Oh
God. If you only get your news from Grand Sumo Breakdown,
John Gunning presents Grand Sumo Breakdown.
From John Gunning presents Grand Sumo Breakdown. We have gotten the fallout from the Asanoyama scandal where he went out to hostess clubs when he wasn't supposed to because of COVID. So I just want to give a few more details on what happened there and then what his punishment was. So basically it boiled down to Asanoyama met a reporter at a Jungyo event back in 2019. They became friends. They became regulars at a hostess club, but they continued to go to that hostess club during the pandemic, during times after the Bansuke was released and during the tournament when you're not supposed to go. Basically, they were caught by some other photographers for like tabloids or something over in Japan. The reporter came up with like some story to lie to his boss and then for Asanoyama to use to lie to the JSA. Asanoyama went along with that lie and lied to the JSA. Then tabloids released more evidence that it was Asanoyama that was going out, and then Asanoyama came clean, and he was suspended for 6 tournaments and had his pay cut by 50% for 3 basho. So we will not be seeing Asanoyama until Nagoya of 2022, when he will be in the 4th highest division, Sandanme. On top of that, there was some stuff going on with Asanoyama's former stable master, the current, well, I guess the ex Nishikijima Oyakata, the former Takasago Oyakata. So apparently once you retire as like the head Oyakata, you could still live at the Heya. I think it's for an additional 5 years. I don't exactly know the rules, but you're not just like kicked out of the Heya immediately, I guess. But that guy also went out quite a bit during the pandemic. It says like basically like the pandemic wasn't happening at all. And he took people from Takasago Beya, which is Asanoyama's Beya, including Asanoyama out with him. And it was just funny because he's handed in his retirement papers now, and those were accepted because this all came to light. But Nishikijima Oyakata said when Asanoyama's accusations first came out, he's like, I feel betrayed. I have no idea how he would do such a thing. And then shortly after, all of his accusations came out and he retired for the exact same thing.
No comment.
Yeah. Jesus.
It sounds like, I believe Takasago is the same stable that Asashoryu was in. And it sounds like Asashoryu was very happy on Twitter after Nishikijima Oyakata had to retire. I think they kind of, it sounds like they butted heads.
Suck it, old man.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, Jake, what do you think about the 6 basho suspension for Asanoyama? Was it the right thing to do? Should they have done something else? Should he have been forced to retire?
I don't know. It just sucks. I think that like it definitely makes sense that it's more severe than Ryuden and Abi because Asanoyama specifically lied about it and didn't come clean until he got caught. But like, I don't know. It's weird. It's a 6 bashos of not wrestling, plus another like 4 or 5 for him to get back to even like to get to the salaried ranks, the top division.
I think he would have to go
roughly
3
another
bashos.
year, probably.
Yeah, he'd have to go 3 bashos in the lower divisions before getting Sekitori.
Which I don't know, man. At that point, just make him retire. Or I take it he probably submitted his papers and they were denied in favor of this punishment.
Yep.
As is tradition, right?
Yep.
Like when this happens,
Right.
you just submit your papers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. If you're gonna do that, I say just accept the papers. But it's just a bummer all around, and I don't know what I would do differently.
Yeah, I think I am kind of with you. It feels a little bit too harsh. Like, I don't know, like maybe 5 or something like that. But I guess they felt the need to do this. But I guess one thing I would just push back on, forcing them to retire. I'm very glad they didn't do that because he is still relatively young and he still has a lot of talent. Like, it'll take him a long time to get back up, but like he's definitely going to get back up. So
I don't think it's fair to say like his potential should lessen his punishment. But I get your point.
I guess I would say this about most Rikishi of his age. I guess I would say. I think forcing someone to retire from the sport that is their livelihood is harsh. So
I still think he got lucky. I mean, he totally could.
You think
have.
so?
I think so. They totally could have accepted his papers.
It is true.
Yeah. I mean, we saw Osunarashi be forced to retire. They say it's not because he was driving the car, but because he lied to the JSA about driving the car. To Flarrick's point about Asanoyama's age, he is 27 years old. He will be 28 years old by the time he steps back on the dojo for Sandanme, and he'll more than likely be 29 years old before we see him back in the Makuuchi division.
Okay, yeah. I guess when I talk about career, like say like any Rikishi's career, forcing them to retire is a very big decision to make. I'm glad they didn't go this direction. It's also life after his career as a wrestler, because he's probably someone who's going to go into becoming an Oyakata as well. So
I wonder if this affects that at all. If this kind of big suspension, if they're not as keen to allowing him to become that. I don't know if there's any rules with like if you can or cannot receive a kabu for like disciplinary reasons or something like that.
They might be able to always say no, but usually the thing is like they have to spend a certain number of bashos in Makuuchi or Juryo. But he definitely got that by being Ozeki.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe it's the politics of getting a Kabu that might be a lot harder now.
Yeah.
But
we'll find out in like 6 or 7 years.
Yes.
So Max, something I've been seeing a lot about is some people complaining like, this isn't fair to his opponents down in the lower division that he's just going to steamroll over. Do you think it is unfair? I mean, it is patently unfair. Well,
yes.
Tell us your thoughts on how unfair it is.
But is that really an issue for you that these guys are going to have to face a former Ozeki that is not coming back due to injury like Teruno Fuji? He's just a guy that's going to be at the prime of his health fighting down at Sandanme.
I'm of two minds about this. One, for the guys that are kind of floating in that Sandanme middling rank, yeah, it's gonna suck to go against him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But for anybody that's up and coming, that still has dreams of getting up to Makuuchi, this is your chance. You are going to get a taste of an Ozeki and the caliber that they bring to the dojo. So I think that while for anybody that's just trying to bounce up and down, be like, I'm just doing this as just a general career, happy with my current rank, this is fine. Yeah, it's gonna suck for you. You're gonna have a bad time. But for anybody still striving for the top, this is a taste of what you can expect at the top level.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say if there's any Sandanme or Makushita Rikishi that beats Asanoyama, they are my new favorite Rikishi.
and that's what I mean. If you can pull that off, you're going to be on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I on the other hand, like if a guy who was going to go 7-0 now goes 6-1, he's still doing fine.
Yeah.
It's one day. It's one day of your tournament for 7 different people. They're going to be okay. I don't think it's going to make or break anybody's career. Well, okay, I take it back. It could make somebody's career.
Yeah, as I say, it could make someone's career. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that I hadn't thought about it that way, and that's an excellent perspective.
It's too bad that Sumo isn't more like WWE, because if there was like a guy in Sandanme who beat Asanoyama when he came back, that guy would be in Makuuchi the next Basho.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move down to the Sekiwake ranks. And so Takayasu is officially on an Ozeki run. Issei Gahama Oyakata said after the Natsubasho that if Takayasu wins a Yusho with 13 wins or more next Basho, a return to Ozeki will be on the table. Jake, give it to me straight. Will Takayasu be Ozeki at the Aki Basho?
I think it's bullshit that they tacked the Yusho on there. You don't have to win a Yusho to be an Ozeki. Like, what? That's never been a requirement.
Takayasu does.
Takayasu.
Isagahama says so.
Well, I say everybody has to win Yusho. Whatever. No.
There you go. Preach, Jake.
Yes.
Preach.
Damn it. I think 13 wins without a Yusho should be like just like Teruno Fuji. Oh, he won a Yusho, but it wasn't like I didn't like it. Like, shut up. Come on.
I mean, Teruno Fuji won a Yusho in his return to Ozeki run. So,
yeah.
Well, no, like I mean, if Teruno Fuji won a Yusho and they were like waffling about whether to give him Yokozuna, that's a similar to like if Takayasu here gets 13 wins, which puts him at 33 over 3 Basho.
That's
and
enough.
They don't give it to him. Like, shut up. Like, come on.
I think there is a thought that if you're a former Ozeki, they make it a little harder on you to return to Ozeki. I don't know that we have enough evidence to know that for sure, but I know I've heard that sentiment out there. So maybe that's a part of it. But yeah, I mean, typically he would have 3 straight Basho that accumulate to 33 wins. If he gets to 13 wins this tournament, 10, 10, and 13, he has the highest amount of wins in the final tournament, which you usually like to see. And an Ozeki run, typically that'd be, that guy is a Ozeki.
Yeah, duh. Like, come on. So, like, I don't know. I'm not like I'm not going after you, Ryan. I'm just going after like this silly statement from Isagahama, who is apparently a real drama queen about this kind of shit. But like, yeah, getting Ozeki the hard way twice is just nuts, and I don't think there should have to be any extra stipulations. It's already hard enough.
It's fair. And then our other Sekiwake on the west side, we have Mitake Yumi. And so he is going to be in the junior Sanyaku ranks, those being Komusubi and Sekiwake, for the 25th time in his career. That is tied with Tochiozan for the 10th best of all time. And I see your note, Jake, but I'm going to say it anyways. So if mostly because I know it's going to annoy you. So if Mitake Yumi can crack 30 basho in the junior Sanyaku ranks, his odds for becoming an Ozeki go up, because 3 of the top 5 Rikishi that had the most time in the junior Sanyaku ranks made it up to an Ozeki, while the 5 in the bottom 5 of that top 10, none of them ever made it to the Ozeki rank. So it seems like there's just a real dead spot where if you're good enough to be junior Sanyaku ranks from 25 to 29 bashos, you're just not good enough to be an Ozeki. But if you can do 30, then you got the stuff to make it up to Ozeki.
Ryan's the kind of guy that casinos are made for. Like he rolls 3 7s in a row, and he's like, "I'm on a run. The dice are more likely to be a 7 this time." But Takayumi's more likely to be an Ozeki now.
I saw this other guy. The same thing happened
this past weekend, though, where he rolled 7 straight 4s in a row.
I'm right at it. And that was with 2 dice.
That was with 2 dice.
Totaling up to 4. 7 times in a row. We looked it up. That's 1 in 35 million.
Yes. I was witness to this.
I feel like statistics should be like a required class from like 3rd grade on in American schools. Like, God damn it, Ryan.
Just saying, of Rikishi that have 30 appearances in the junior Sanyaku ranks, 60% of them made it up to the Ozeki.
Doesn't
of Rikishi between 25 to 29, 0%.
Next topic, damn it.
Anybody
coming up next on John Gunning Presents GSB, we're gonna have a bonus episode on statistic basics
with Professor Little Jakey Boy.
Jakey Boy and student Ryan Dummy Boy. I'm gonna work on that too. I'm gonna work on that
workshop
too.
Workshop
that was good. That was solid.
I'm assuming nobody has any new groundbreaking thoughts on Mitake Yumi in his 25th appearance in the junior Sanyaku.
That's why I had these jokes planned.
All right. Let's move on to the much more exciting rank this tournament. I don't think it's very often that Komusubi is very exciting, but I am very excited about the Komusubi ranks for this tournament because we have new blood at both Komusubi ranks. We have Waka Takakage and Meise both making their Sanyaku debuts this basho after a great first half of the year for each of them. And I do want to take a closer look at both of these guys, just a quick profile of our new Sanyaku Rikishi. So first up, we have Waka Takakage. He is 26 years old. He debuted in Haru of 2017 at 22 years old. He was able to debut in the Sandanme division. He received a Sandanme Tsukedashi, which basically means he was real good at the sumo in college and won some like amateur tournaments. He only had 7 tournaments as a non-Sekitori. He made it up to Juryo real quick. And he only has 4 losing records in his 23 basho that he has completed. He has averaged 9.4 wins per completed basho as a Maegashira. He did have to pull out of one that he started undefeated. So we can only assume that would have been 15-0. And he has won 2 lower division Yusho and 2 special prizes. Then we have Meise. He is 25 years old. He debuted in Natsu of 2011 at 15 years old. Made his Juryo debut in Kyushu of 2016 at 21 years old. Makuuchi debut in Nagoya 2018 at 22 years old. And he has dropped down to Juryo a couple of times, but since his last return to the Makuuchi division in Aki of 2020, he has not had a losing record, rising up the Bansuke for 4 straight basho until making his Sanyaku debut this tournament. So, Fleric, how will our new bloods, Waka Takakage and Meise, do in their Sanyaku debuts this basho?
That is a very good question. One thing I was looking up the records I thought was impressive is like a year ago, like just about like they were both in Jurio. And so this is kind of a very impressive rise since then. It's looking at the most previous results is probably the best insight into this. Where Meise, like he kind of lost to most people above him, but the people like around him, below him, like he was able to beat pretty handily. But Waka Takakage, he was beating some Ozeki and Sekiwake above him, and he looked quite sexy at the same time. So it's hard to say. I think 6 Bashos in a row of Kachikoshi, and like he's pretty much gonna have the same competition this time around. Same thing with Waka Takakage. I expect them to probably to do another Kachikoshi both.
All right, and Jake, who do you think of those two? Who would you put your money on to do better?
I think Waka Takakage, but that might just be the bias that I'm more familiar with him. Meise is a guy that I have yet to really take seriously, I guess. He can kind of be a little exciting to watch, but like he's not a guy that really sticks out to me. So yeah, he's been rising the last year, but honestly, that's probably just on me because I'm just not as familiar with him. But Waka Takakage is somebody that I've watched get double-digit wins in the Joy before. Well, I guess they both have, haven't they?
Yeah. I think they're both 10-5 in the Joy and the Haru Basho.
Yes. Meise did have a Fusen win on there for, minimizing circumstances, I guess. But like,
there's that negativity.
There it is. It's coming back. But no, I don't know. I guess Waka Takakage. I don't really have very great reasons, though.
Yeah. He did look quite good last Basho, and he did get another Gino show. He has like back-to-back Gino show technique prizes.
Much to Jake's chagrin, Waka Takakage did get that special prize in the past tournament.
Was that the one that put that contest over the edge? Yeah.
Goddamn right it did.
As far as like Kimarite, like winning technique history and such, neither of these guys have very many things out of the ordinary. Waka Takakage is slightly more in the pushing camp, and Meise is slightly more in the belt camp, but both of them are both pretty well balanced. The only thing I saw that was really weird was Waka Takakage has quite a few too many okuri dashis, so like rear push-outs from getting behind somebody and using thrusting. I have no idea where that comes from, but other than that, both of these guys are pretty well balanced. So
he's small and fast,
I guess.
I'm curious. I'm going to look up Haruma Fuji real quick because he's kind of got a similar body style to Waka Takakage. I'm going to see and he was like a fast guy. I'm going to see if he had a lot of okuri dashi or okuri wins.
We'll all wait. Go ahead.
We'll wait. We'll stare at you.
Okuri dashi is his 6th most used kimarite for Haruma Fuji. He used it 34 times in his career. But the next one isn't until okuri taoshi, and that's kind of way down the list at like 13 or 14 or something like that. So
yeah, one of the things that
Waka Takakage's okuri dashi was though.
Yeah, it was like it was like 5th-ish. But yeah, Haruma Fuji had just like a lot of the classic Mongolian style is a lot of yorikiri, also a buttload of uwatenage, shitatenage, the throwing technique.
Your
you
traditional
expect
throws.
that. You expect more throwing technique in somebody coming from Mongolian wrestling. But yeah, both these Waka Takakage and Meise both kind of come in with like a classic traditional spread here of just like, just a well-rounded guy. And I think that's kind of interesting.
All right, so we've covered the Sanyaku ranks in depth pretty well. Let's take a little bit of time to cover some of the other Maegashira ranks. So, Mac, why don't you tell us about a Rikishi or two between the ranks of Maegashira 1 through 4 that you've got your eyes on this Basho?
Well, the one that I'm looking at this time, he's making his career high debut. That would be Kodaweko. We're used to seeing him at the middling to lower ranks, but I always enjoy his type of sumo. He always is fast. You can always tell he's really trying as hard as he can to pull out those wins. But despite his recent records, he has no prizes and no Yusho to his name that I'm aware of. So I'm hoping he doesn't turn into a Kageyaki, and I don't think he will because he doesn't have the duck walk.
It doesn't matter at this point. Kageyaki is always just going to be the punching bag. There could be other people worse than him, but it's Kageyaki. It doesn't matter.
There could be other people less successful than him, but I don't think there are people worse than him.
Yeah, fair.
All right, Jake, who are you looking at between the ranks of Maegashira 5 and Maegashira 8?
Hoshoryu is the one that sticks out here, just more for an entertainment sake than for specific storylines. I mean, we mentioned him a little bit earlier. He's still on he had a minor setback last time. I don't think that's going to make too big a difference. I think he's still on a very fast rise overall, and I think that's going to continue.
All right. Flerk, anybody between Maegashira 9 and Maegashira 12 we should look out for?
You should feast your eyes on Hide no Umi. He had kind of a 5 to 10 sumo to babe ratio last time. I'm very curious to what his ratio is going to be this time.
Too many babes, man.
I have a feeling like, new town, like after a whole entire year, it's going to be probably a lot of babe stuff going on, but we'll see.
If there is any babe stuff going on, we won't see him for at least 3 tournaments.
Unless he lies about it, then it's 6. Precedent established. Oh, by the way, should we explain that joke for anybody coming into this new, or should we just kind of let that one go?
He's into babes and sumo. What do you need to know?
Yeah, he has a famous interview quote saying that, and I think it was made into a post.
Not into people,
online.
But I like babes and sumo.
Yep. And that's all you need to do to rocket to the top of our favorite list. So the shocking favorite of John Gunning Presents Grand Sumo Breakdown. He didn't know. All right. And I will be talking about a couple rikishi between Maegashira 13 and 17. My job is very easy this time because making his return to the Makuuchi division for the first time in almost 4 years. He tore his ACL once in Aki 2017. He tore it again in 2019.
For good measure.
Coming back, hopefully forever. It's our little pink boy, Ura, back in the top division. Everybody give it up for Ura. All right,
I'm sure that's going to translate well to our podcast.
Yeah,
indeed.
I was expecting a lot more fanfare. But yeah, so a little bit more about Ura, because I guess I didn't realize how good he was before he got injured. He made it from his Maizumo debut in Haru 2015 to the Makuuchi division in just 2 years, as he debuted in the top division in Haru 2017. That's incredibly fast rise from the very bottom of sumo. And then in 2 more basho in the Makuuchi division, he was all the way up to Maegashira 4 before his first major injury. He has spent more time recovering from his injuries to make it back to the top than it took for him to make it to the top the first go round. It took him 21 basho after the injury to get back up to Makuuchi, where he made his debut in Makuuchi in his 13th basho. He's a smaller guy, very exciting style. He has 10 wins with the leg pick Ashitori move. He's got 6 by Totari, which isn't a move you really see all that often. And then he's got a handful of once every 10 years kind of Kimarite with the Izori, Tatsukizori, and Ushiro Motare. So he's a very exciting wrestler. If you haven't seen Ura before because he hasn't been in the top division, keep an eye out for Maegashira 13 West this basho. You are sure to be very entertained by him. And then the other guy, it's been a little bit since we've been able to do this, but our Makuuchi debut spotlight is going to be shining brightly on Ichi Yamamoto. He is from the Nishono Sekibeya, and you might know Shohozan is a stablemate of his. He is 27 years old. He debuted in Haru of 2017, and he's won a Jonokuchi Yusho. He made it to Juryo in a little over 2 years. He made it to Juryo in a little over 2 years, making his debut in Nagoya 2019. Sorry, I wrote that sentence poorly. He had 2 straight 9 and 6 basho in Juryo before suffering an injury and dropping towards the bottom of Makushita after a couple of tournaments. He has not had a losing record since coming back from his injury, so that's 7 total basho, including 2 straight 10 and 5 records in Juryo to get him into Makuuchi 2 years probably after he would have made his debut if not for that injury. If you're looking for a comp for him to see how does he fight, he is Abi 2.0 all the way. Very similar style where it's just put your long arms out there, keep them away from your belt for God's sake, and somehow win.
Somehow win.
He is very similar fighter to Ichi Yamamoto. Sorry, to Abi.
Abi, I was like, Ichi, what? Yes.
Yeah, he's got a huge amount of oshidashi, and his second most common technique is hataki komi.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was gonna say not let Ryan let that go. He's very similar to himself.
Indeed.
Yes.
If Ichi Yamamoto were to look into a mirror, he would see Ichi Yamamoto.
That's deep, bro.
He's lanky. He's definitely lanky like Abi.
Oh yeah, it like Abi's the only guy that you see push and thrust like that in the top division. Now it's Ichi Yamamoto and Abi. They're two very similar styles.
I can see it.
So let's just talk a little bit about what's going on, Juryo and below. Enho, everybody's favorite little guy, unfortunately down to Juryo 5. So hopefully he can have a bit better basho than he did last time, where he just got the ever-loving piss beat out of him and he injured like every single body part, I'm pretty sure. Speaking of Abi, he is back in the salaried ranks after back-to-back Makushita Yusho, and he is on track to be back in the top division by November, as we predicted. If we see two probably like 11 to 12 win bashos out of Abi, we could easily see him in the Makuuchi division for November. And then there's 4 up-and-comers in the Juryo division that I just want to take a real quick look at, because they're all at their career high rank and they're all relatively young. So they might be people we're seeing in the top division sooner than later. Juryo 11 East, Nishiki Fuji. He's 24 years old. He's got 4 total basho in Juryo, and he did get his first winning record in Juryo in Natsu. He is also a member of Issei Gahama, so he's along with Terano Fuji, Midori Fuji, Takano Fuji, Terutsuyoshi. So could be another Issei Gahama guy we see in the top division. Juryo A East, Bushozan. He is 25 years old. He's going to be in his 3rd basho in Juryo. And just like Ichi Yamamoto is kind of a clone of Abi, it seems like Bushozan is a clone of Takakeisho, both in composition and fighting style, but they're not in the same Heya. He has 118 wins by Oshidashi, and his next highest Kimarite is Oshitaoshi with 10 wins. He only has 5 wins by Yorikiri and only 1 win with a belt throwing technique. So if that doesn't scream Takakeisho, I don't know what does. Yeah, I kind of already love Bushozan just because he's like Takakeisho, and I really want him to do good. Bring that style to the mainstream. Make it so people can't hate that style. Juryo 4 West, Takakento. He's 25 years old. He will be in his 3rd basho in Juryo. He doesn't look as much like Takakeisho, but he also has a similar reliance on the pushing techniques as opposed to belt techniques. But he is in the same stable as Takakeisho. He is in the Tokiwayama Bea. And then at Juryo 4 East, you have Toha Kuryu. He is 25 years old. He has the hardest to pronounce name right now. He will be in his 4th bash.
What was that name one more time?
Toha Kuryu.
Okay.
It's got the Kakuryu issue. Toha Kuryu.
The Q, then the Ryu.
Yeah.
Going on.
Toha Kuryu.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work good for my tongue. But yeah, he is 25 years old, 4th basho in Juryo, and just his 13th basho overall, because he's another guy that got a Sandanme Tsukidashi, so he started his career in Sandanme. I found this interesting. Hataki Komi is his top winning technique. So it would appear that he very much relies on the pulling techniques at this point in his career. And then just a few short notes on other news. Ikioi has retired. He was on the Bansuke in the Sandanme division for this tournament after sitting out a couple of basho in Makushita. So a long career for Ikioi is over. We probably won't do an episode on Ikioi, but we might do just like a segment on Ikioi in an upcoming episode. And then also, in addition to Asanoyama suspension, Ryuden got suspended 3 basho. But I believe that suspension includes the Natsu basho, which he sat out of the entirety from. So it sounds like Ryuden will return in November towards the bottom of the Makushita rankings, and it's going to be a very similar situation to where Abi was. So interesting to see that Ryuden had the previous basho count towards the suspension. Asanoyama will not, obviously, because Asanoyama competed. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we will come back, talk about our plans for the GSB belt, and then get into our prediction series.
Welcome back. We are going to start off with the John Gunning presents the Grand Sumo Breakdown belt.
It's still not getting old. I like this.
We got to cram a few more in. It's still funny. So last Basha, we decided to retire the belt because Teruno Fuji obtained the belt and won the Yusho.
And Jake was tired of it.
And Jake was sick of it.
And it ended up technically down 13 more ranks because Teratsuyoshi got a win in one unfortunate spot. I don't care. Teruno Fuji got the belt and was the top ranked guy in the tournament. Fleric, what do you think?
I was just kind of imagining, like last time we did this, it ended up with Ura holding onto the belt for like 4 or 5 bashos in a row. What's the chances that Asanoyama ends up with the belt, like once he gets to the Sandame division?
Not great, because it would probably be in about a year. I think it got up to like upper Makushita, maybe even Juryo on our first go. So we'll see, but maybe on the third iteration, it would be about time for him to get. Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe Ryuden is going to be picking this one.
Yeah,
ooh,
that is a distinct possibility. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to start off once the Torikumi is released. That will decide the very first match of the Nagoya tournament. Will be for the John Gunning Presents GSB belt.
And that very first match could feature none other than Shonan Sakura.
Sure could.
Who we talked about on our Ask GSB 2 episode that we did about a week ago. And he did drop down from Jonokuchi 9 all the way down to Jonokuchi 24.
Yeah. So he is the second lowest ranked guy. I'm not sure why one of the guys that are debuting are below him.
He was in Mizumo, but he did not get any wins in his Mizumo matches.
So all the guys that are above Shonan Sakura did get a win in Mizumo?
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Well, that makes sense then. So yeah, Shonan Sakura, Jonokuchi 24 West, and Byaku, and that might be a challenger for hardest name.
Yeah.
Is the last ranked guy in Pro Sumo. So it'll probably be those two guys matching up on day one. But
depends on, since the lower division guys don't fight every day, maybe Shonan Sakura doesn't fight until like day 2. I don't know how the matching works. Yeah.
But it will be whatever the very first match is determines who gets the first crack at the belt.
Yep. All right, so we will move on into our champ chump selections. This will determine who will be called Yokozuna on our Nagoya recap episode, and more importantly, who will have to perform a punishment on the Nagoya recap episode. So Jake little Jakey boy as our reigning and defending loser, you get the first pick of champs.
I always knew I lost on purpose for a reason. I am going to go with Mr. Teruno Fuji.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
You didn't go with some middle of the pack Magashira to hedge your bets in sadness.
I mean,
Diamami.
Well, what I've been saying all what I've been predicting here is Teruno Fuji, Takakeisho, Hakuho, and the field are the 4 candidates. So I don't know. I guess I gotta go Teruno Fuji.
All right. I'm gonna take the risk. I think Flair was hoping he would drop down to him. I'm not gonna let it happen. I'm gonna go with Hakuho.
Oh wow!
The theory behind it is if Hakuho enters, he's gonna start off and do pretty good. And if like we said, we think he's probably minimum 10 wins. I'll take that for my champ. I'll take a guaranteed 10 wins. If he doesn't enter, I got to choose somebody else. And that's not too big of a penalty
you get
at the
guaranteed
beginning
loss.
of the tournament.
Guaranteed loss.
There is one guaranteed loss.
That is true.
But if he pulls out before the tournament, there's no guaranteed loss. And
his orthopedist said he'd make it to day 1, Ryan.
True.
Yeah, at least one day.
That's part 1 of the orthopedist creed is you never lie. So
there's also our rule that if Hakuho, if he starts off 7-0, 8-0, and then his leg gets amputated by his orthopedist to prevent him from entering the dojo, then I get to pick somebody that has a very similar record to Hakuho. So I think there's actually minimal risk to taking Hakuho.
It's an interesting game theory that I've actually thought before.
Game theory.
I was hoping that would get him.
All right,
but it's actually bold not picking Takakeisha though. So
yeah,
second pick is actually a little weird.
I think Mac will pencil you in for Tamawashi.
Oh, sure.
Count it.
He said it.
No, no, I hate you. Takake show. It's like, if you're not taking him, like, I'll take him.
All right, Fleric. Top
I'm
3
gonna
picks
go
are
with-
out there.
I'm gonna go with the hope that Takayasu took this personally of what Isegahama said, and he's gonna get a Yusho at like 13-0 or something like that. So
All
I'll
right.
go with Takayasu.
All right, and then Fleric comes back to you for the jump.
There we go. Can I pick Hakuho? Nah, I'll go with
You totally could.
no. I have to. I totally see he's gonna be doing pretty well. I'm going with Kodaweko. He's new to the joy, and he's gonna get a reality check from right there.
Derned it.
I'm going to go with Meise. I don't think he's got it.
Oh my! He has like 6 bashos in a row, Kachikoshi.
I know. I don't think he's going to have 7.
Okay.
I am going to go Chiyo Tairyu.
Interesting.
I don't know. I think Tobizaru could bounce back. Does Jake think Tobizaru could bounce back?
That's the question.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other. I do think that Chio Noo is not going to have a good time. He is making his Makuuchi debut.
Nope.
Or, excuse me, it's his highest rank at Maegashira 14, which is not great. Let's see. Has he ever had a winning tournament in the top division?
No.
That's a big old no. Let's keep that rolling.
Yeah, Chiyo no-o. Last time he was in the Makuuchi division, he was just Chiyo-o. Chiyu.
What?
I'm pretty sure it's not Chiyu.
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 Just hold the ooh even longer. We know Japanese.
Yeah. All right. So there are our picks. We will keep track of those, and hopefully I will not be punished, as that is the hope for everybody on
Speak for
every
yourself.
podcast, is that Ryan does not get punished.
I hope Fleric does not get punished, because that would mean that Takayasu did well.
There are 5 Chios in Makuuchi right now.
Ooh.
Hey, new record, I think, for the Chios. Or at least,
go.
Since we cared.
We have a Tairyu, a Maro, ooh,
And ooh.
a Nokuni, and a Shoma.
A Shoma.
Mashoma.
No,
It's not Chioma Shoma.
What is wrong
couldn't-
with you?
I couldn't
Do
find
you-
his name on the Bonsuke, and for some reason I was thinking his name was Chioma Shoma.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you think like in the Heya they just drop the chi and they just kind of say like Mashoma, come over here.
Maru, come here.
I mean,
Ooh.
for ease, I think you'd have to.
I think that needs to be our new thing, as we just toss in a random ma in names like Takamayasu.
Takamayasu. Mitakamayumi.
Yep. This
It's a
is
speech
the
impediment.
kind of
This
this is
This
our
is the
high
way.
quality content that we put together here on John Gunning Presents Grand Sumo Breakdown.
That should be the punishment. You got to talk stupid for an entire episode.
we do that all the time.
Hey,
Fair point.
I still vote that talk like a pirate for the whole recap should be a thing, but that would
Oh.
everyone
I
just
would
told me
totally
that'd
do
be
that.
too annoying.
That would be more annoying. That'd be the most annoying episode of John Gunning Presents Grand Sumo Breakdown ever.
I don't know. I think we should give it a try.
All right, Jake, what's the actual punishment? Pull it out of the Takayasu teacup of punishments, pettycasts, and Patreon compliments.
Can you abbreviate that for me? That's kind of a long title.
T.
Another T.
Don't worry about it. I already drew the thing. We're making the long-awaited return of Sumo Erotica.
Ooh.
It's been a little while since we drew that one from the teacup. But yeah, so oh man, do we know which? We'll have to find by the time we do the punishment, we should dig up the old ones that we did for recommendations for the listeners, because they've been saucy and they've been weird. And
Sumo Kaboom.
They
You better hold on.
Yeah, and Sumo Kaboom's favorite thing ever, I'm sure.
I think Mac is the only one of us to not write any erotica. And last time we had the singing punishment, we're like, hey, Fleric, you haven't had a singing punishment, and we willed it into the world.
You
so
cursed
let's
me.
Mac, Jake, let's all put our energy into willing Mac having to write sumo erotica into the world.
100%. And Fleric is going to be Yokozuna because Takayasu's going to go Zensho Yusho.
I like where your head's at, Jake.
All right, so you have that to look forward to. I think we're going to try to promise PG-13 on the erotica. I think try to keep it below that R rating.
We'll see.
What about NC-17?
I was going to say, I'm a Discovery writer at heart, Ryan. So if my characters, they want to do some PG-13 plus stuff, I can't stop them.
That's fair.
I can't stop
We
them.
could do 80s rule PG-13. That had some allowances.
Exactly one fuck.
Exactly. One fuck.
That was 2. We're rated R.
I'm pretty sure Fleric drops them casually throughout the podcast anyway, so we're already past that point.
Oh, God. All right, let's move on.
The question is, what kind of fuck?
It doesn't matter if you say it slower; it still counts. It probably makes it worse.
I'm just saying, in the context of an erotica scene, it could be saying, or it could be an action as
like
well.
the exclamation might be less severe.
Like the actual romance.
God, you're sucking me back in. No, let's move on.
All right. So I haven't posted the as of this recording, but that is because we wanted to announce that our prediction, or like bold predictions thread that we usually do on Twitter, we're going to add a little bit of a wrinkle to it this time, where we are going to choose a definitive best prediction. And I think we're going to weigh like accurate predictions over funny predictions for who the winner is.
Unless they're super funny.
Unless they're really good.
You gotta blow us away. You gotta write a full sumo erotica novel in your prediction in order to.
Okay, maybe dial that one back.
Hold on.
Maybe pump the brakes there.
Ryan just really wants some more erotica.
More erotica.
Richie.
You have no idea how long I've been waiting for this.
Anyways, get on with it.
So what we're going to do, we're going to choose one winner with hopefully the most accurate prediction for the tournament, and then we are going to send you a Grand Sumo Breakdown t-shirt. There's a couple of designs that you can choose from the website that we use for t-shirts, Redbubble, and so we will send it to you free of charge, and you can show off your Grand Sumo Breakdown fandom in style. So have that to look forward to for this basho and hopefully every basho to come. So being able to send out a t-shirt free of charge to one of our listeners is because of our patrons. So let's give them some mighty fine compliments.
Next up, fun fact. Jessica is the inspiration for the song You're the Best Around from the Karate Kid. I don't know if you guys knew that.
No, I did not.
No, that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Thora Cottrell, your smile makes us smile.
Koi with a K. You are the sharpest tool in the shed.
God damn it.
That will tickle you, Fleric.
Baron, they will build monuments to you that will last lifetimes.
And Robbie Gardner, in my next fantasy sumo draft, I'm picking you for my champ.
Ooh.
I praise. Mark Burgess, you are the epitome of Fleric. Oh, I mean perfection. I get those
The
two
epitome of
confused.
flag. There's another one?
All right. So that is just a taste for some of our patrons. We will get to the rest of our patrons with their compliments on our midway and our recap episode. So that is going to wrap up most of this podcast. But before we go, we all have to say what we are most excited for. And it's probably all going to be centered around the same 3 people. So I'll kick us off. God damn, I want to see a new Yokozuna. I really do. And our best shot at that is the Kaiju Terano Fuji. And my God, that would just be the best story could be in sumo history. So please, please let your knees hang on for one more tournament. Get that Yusho. Beat Hakuho. Do it, man.
Do it.
Or Hokuto Fuji could win, and I'd be okay with that too.
Whatever.
Oh, come on.
No, spoiler alert. This one's easy. Yeah, the Yokozuna drama serious Yokozuna drama for the first time in ages is top of my list.
Yeah. Day 15, Hakuho versus Teruno Fuji. Great battle, and Mawashi's on the dohyo. That's what I want to see.
So we all
Fleck wants 2 giant naked men on the dohyo, or he quits.
I want a
quit the
playoff
podcast.
final day to determine the 2 new Yokozunas. That's what I want.
The 2 new. Oh,
The
yeah.
2 new. I'm willing it into existence. If the erotica can be willed into existence, then so can the double Yokozuna promotion.
Now,
Which
Mac,
is-
if you really want to will that sumo erotica into existence with you as the author, I will let you change your champ and jump predictions.
No.
we can just switch those right now if you want.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I think
I'm
we'd
good.
make
We'll
an
let the
exception.
sumo gods decide.
All in favor? I mean, like, yeah, motion carries,
Aye.
I think. Yeah.
Nay.
All right. So if you enjoy this podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service. What else do we got, Flerick?
We have this thing called social media. It's actually pretty nifty. You can check us out
It's
on
new.
Twitter.
I got it.
Yeah. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Search for Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Search for us on Patreon if you want your name in the Takayasu teacup of punishments and petty cash and compliments. And also check out grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com. We do have USA Sumo content coming on there. Mac is doing a write-up of the national tournament, and there is also video of that. We should make sure to get that link in there so you can watch all the matches if you got 7 hours, or you can just read Mac's write-up with the brackets.
Well, I also include, timestamps for all the different divisions. So if you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
And that will do it for another fascinating episode of John Gunning Presents Grand Sumo Breakdown. We'll see you next time, you crazy kids.
Never did get old.
Don't do that.
Nope, we made
outro
it the whole
again,
way.
man.
Yeah. I'm still smiling.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time,
Throw your salt high.
and keep moving forward.